So we're here at our favorite establishment for collecting up homebrew material, fermentations, winemaking, and homebrew.
Here at Fermentations, there's a selection and great customer service. You can see their wine boxes in the back there, equipment, adjuncts, man, you name it, it's here. See the hops? Love hops. This is a cool place. Adjuncts, purees, and the malts. Man, malts. That's good stuff.
What did we learn about extracts, Cody?
They taste funky. Use very little and be very certain it's what you want.
Extracts can be touchy depending on what you're looking at.
At Fermentation, there's a huge supply of box kit brews. We chose them because of their selection, because of their customer service. Here we're looking through for that dark German beer to meet this month's theme. Here you can see Tim. Hi, Tim. He's the owner of Fermentations, taught me everything I know.
That's fine. So let's crack open the Dunkelweizen.
Okay. Let's see.
Today we're unboxing Dunkel, the box kit that you saw us pick out at Fermentations. We're also going to unbox or take a look at what's in the ingredients, read off some of the directions, and get a feel for what we're going to do today as our brew day. Hopefully you like the new segments. Today we're going to be talking about this box in particular. We're going to be brewing that beer, and then we're going to be reviewing it later on. So let's take a look. So off the top, we've got
Ads
for more Brewkit from Brewers Best, which I think we bought some equipment from them before, at least at one point.
We bought a box from them.
Right, yeah,
Brewkit
box. An inspection number.
Number 6.
Number 6.
Let's see if number 6 did a good job.
Conical fermenter, a stainless steel conical fermenter for a 10 gallon capacity. That would be really nice if you're looking to do something a little more professional or larger batches. We like conical. I would love to have conical fermenters, but we're kind of saving up money for the big openings. So instead of buying that at smaller batches, we're not doing that.
That thing probably runs like $2,000. Somewhere in that range. It ain't cheap.
Some liquid malt extract, some LME. Add for that one.
That's it. We'll see one of those in a minute.
Also, inspector number 23 has us checked our double inspected.
Maybe one was the equipment inspector, the other one was ad inspector.
And we've got the actual instructions that are going to be showing us or walking us through the process. So
very important. Even if you know what you're doing, read the instructions.
I'll swap you. You read better than I do on camera.
Okay. So, we're going to start from the top, as a normal person would. So we've got Brewers Best Dunkelweizen. Munich and chocolate malts combine to create a darker, maltier version of its light counterpart, the Hefeweizen. That'll be interesting. Amber brown in color, yet medium-bodied with slightly sweet, bready flavor and a specialty wheat yeast that produces characteristic phenols found in traditional Weizens. That's your phenol. Phenol is the spice notes. However, another thing, if you drink Weizens, you're going to know is banana.
No, I thought those were esters.
Yeah, banana is esters. It says phenols, but there's also esters that you are associated with a Weizen.
Gotcha.
The phenol is your spicy notes, so your clove, your pepper.
That we normally talk about.
You normally talk about in a Hefeweizen. But also in a Hefeweizen, you tend to get that banana ester.
So interesting.
They missed it, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have banana spice, unless this is a really weird one. Or if we ferment it very chilled, we could kill that banana flavor, but then is it really a hef?
Well, it's not to the box, so let's see what we got on that.
We'll follow the box specifically. So, recommended procedures. Brew day, date. Procedure number 1, read. Read all of the procedures before beginning.
Now, we're engineers, so that shit. Sorry, or as my wife would say, we're also men. That shit.
I don't need no instructions to put together that IKEA shelf. I can do it myself.
I can do it myself.
Ignore that my shelves are crooked.
Alright, Now, being that and getting over yourself, get back to the instructions.
Sanitize, another important ingredient. Clean everything before starting. Clean everything during it. Clean everything after. Clean it again. It's brewing, you clean.
Brewing is 90% sanitization and cleaning and 10% actual brewing. So if number 2, after reading the instructions, is sanitize, clean yo stuff. Clean it. Clean it again. Clean it some more. Keep on cleaning. If it ain't shiny, it ain't done.
And then clean it again.
And then sanitize it anyways.
So, step 3, steep grains. Pour 2.5 gallons of clean water. Water filter, very important.
Oh yeah.
Into your brew pot and begin to heat.
Alright, so we've got our water going in the background over here, so if you hear some noise, that's what's going on. It's a propane burner. You should have seen that clip. So that's off and running, and we're getting our temperatures up slowly but surely. What else are we going to do, Cody?
We're gonna do some crack. Okay, this is water chemistry. This is our calcium chloride and Epsom salts. The calcium chloride is there to increase the malty flavors. So there's 4 grams of calcium chloride in here because this is a malt-based sort of beer, and so we want more of those malty flavors. And there are 2 grams of Epsom salt. Epsom salt would usually enhance your hoppy flavors. However, there is also the magnesium in Epsom salt, and that helps enhance your yeast health and give you a better fermentation. Same with the calcium in the calcium chloride. The calcium enhances yeast health. So we use both of these in almost every one of our brews. It's just the ratio of how much of each, depending on whether we want a hoppier, a balanced, or a maltier beer. In this case, malty, so more calcium chloride. Check out your utility company. It can give you a baseline to do this, and these aren't expensive. Epsom salt you can literally get at Walgreens. Calcium chloride will be at any homebrew store.
Don't get any flavored Epsom salts or scented, or just clean, pure, straight Epsom salts. Don't add anything to it, because what you're looking for is the chemicals, not the healing properties.
Yeah, but it's pretty easy to get a hold of. Check it up on your utility company website to see what's in your water in the first place, and work from there.
If you don't want to do water chemistry, or this is your first time brewing, or you're looking at our videos and going, hey man, how do I do this? This is not a mandatory aspect of this process. Okay, so here we have grain cuts on either side. Okay. We've got specialty grains on here by the instructions. What do we have, Cody?
8 ounces of chocolate barley and 8 ounces of Munich light malt.
All right, so light malt on the top, obviously. Chocolate barley on the bottom.
So I'm going to assume that means it's unmalted barley, since they called it barley and not malt. It is an important distinction.
And then maybe that's some of the heavy, weedy stuff that they're trying to get in there.
No, it's just unmalted barley isn't as sweet. You get a little more of that roasty characteristics come through a little clearer because you're not getting any extra sugars because it wasn't malted.
There we go. All right, so I'm going to set that off to the side.
So, continuing with the instructions. Pour crushed grains into grain bag. Tie a loose knot at the top of the bag. We have grain bag.
Look like
grain bag. Looks like a sock.
But it's also like a fabric or a cloth.
It's like a cheesecloth.
Cheesecloth. Yeah, it's
cheesecloth
like
sock.
So we're gonna put them in a little sock.
Top of bag. Appropriate steeping temperature of 150 to 165 degrees. That's a big range. Well, in this case, not going to get much diastatic power, would we? Diastatic power is how much enzymatic activity. It's the things that turn the starches into sugars. Neither of those are base malts. Those are both a little more roasted, so they're not going to have a lot of enzymes there to really turn the starches into sugars. So I don't know if we're too worried about our steeping temperature here, because no enzymes really do anything.
Well, there's not enough enzymes to make a difference. So the reason why you have base malts versus just specialty malts is to get those enzymes to go crank along in your mash. In a brew box, they've actually done most of the work, which we'll get to, for us. And so we're just doing the specialty malt brew.
All right. So we'll just pick a temperature in that range. Not too worried about it. It says, place the grain bag into the brew pot and steep grains for approximately 20 minutes.
Nice.
Timer, also important tool.
Cell phones.
Remove the grain bag without squeezing. That's important. When you squeeze it, you're probably going to pull some more of the tannins from your
husks.
The husks. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
The husks out. Don't squeeze your baggie. Allow the liquid to drain a little bit. Your water is now wort. Kind of.
But we'll get to that.
So bring your wort to a gentle rolling boil.
Okay.
Add all of the included LME and maltodextrin.
All right, so we've got...
LME, big can.
That one's wheat, though.
Wheat LME. Yes, that's what we should have. So,
two wheats.
Oh,
Yeah.
2 wheats. There you go.
2 wheats.
2 wheats. 'Cause
2
we need
wheat
6.6 pounds because you need a lot of liquid malt extract to make a beer.
Yeah, a lot of... So when you're mashing, typically what you're trying to extract is exactly what's in here. And Brewers Best has done the work for us, cut out that whole mashing process, and extracted the sugars that you would normally extract, so we can just jump right over that process and jump right into boil effectively.
And they have an analysis on the back of the can to tell you what this would be if you had actually done it yourself. Color Lava Bond, it's 2 to 4, which is a fairly pale beer. That's your pale ales or regular hef. So if you just poured these straight in, you'd have a regular hef essentially. Plateau and Gravity are both talking about how much sugar is dissolved in this fluid in here.
Plato or Play-Doh?
I don't know.
No, Play-Dohs.
It could be Play-Doh,
So-
could be Plateau.
I'm pretty sure most brewers call them Play-Dohs. So
Okay.
there's Play-Dohs and Gravity. Right?
Play-Dohs and Gravity. And that's your how much sugar has been dissolved. So we work in Gravity for the most part. So 1.425 to 1.439
That is the relative gravity or specific gravity to water.
to water. Yeah.
And
So,
so it's
1
1
is
point.
water, so
Right.
it's 42% more dense than water.
And then ingredients is barley, wheat, and water, although less water and more of the other two. And then the contents are 100% pure malt extract, non-diastatic, and unhopped. And that's kind of important that we don't have any extra hops in here, right? So there isn't any hops, flavors, aromas, or bittering agents. We're just talking sugars.
Yep. Big can of sugar syrup. You could probably make decent candy out of this if you wanted to make like a beer or
That'd be
a
a
weedy
really
candy. It'd be an interesting
special
idea.
beer. Or special candy, yeah. Interesting. All right, so that's what we got on that. So that's what they're talking about on those. I'll take
There's
it.
also it said maltodextrin. Do we got a baggie of maltodextrin?
Oh, some bump sugar.
Yep. So this is just pure sugar. It's the malt sugar. That's why it's maltodextrin. But can we get that a little closer? Wait, no, I got to shout. There we go. Maltodextrin. Maltodextrin. This is just sugar. That's going to boost up the gravity again when we get to the full thing done. It's going to get our gravity up a little higher. This is really easily digested by yeast, so it's going to almost all turn into alcohol. So this will not leave any sweetness behind.
No, it's a pure bumping of the ABVs just to get it nice and hot.
All right. So back to reading this instructions. We were at step 4. Add all the included LME and maltodextrin to the boiling wort. Continuously stir the extract into the wort as it returns to a gentle rolling boil. The gentle part is probably important here. If you have a nice rip-roaring boil and pour that LME in there, you're going to get a big hot break and you're going to have a mess all over your floor.
Yeah, big time.
Read the instructions. Follow them.
Yeah, watch out for that one. That's a big one for those who are doing brewers, and I'm sure we'll get pieces of this as we continue this series. But when we pour, we'll do it slowly, kind of let that come in, because sugar or adding a lot of that to a rolling hot boil may make it disastrous.
All right. Step number 5, follow schedule. As directed on the brew day schedule to the right, slowly sprinkle hops into the boiling wort. Be careful not to let the wort boil over the pot. Like we said, slowly sprinkle means add like 1 or 2 pellets at a time until it gets settled down, and then you can add the rest. If you just pour it all in there, you're going to end up with wort all over the floor, wort on you, wort everywhere. Trust me, I've done it. Use the provided brew day schedule. Note the times the hops are added to help keep your brew on schedule. Continue the gentle rolling boil until boil is complete. And the brew day schedule says to add 1 pack of Willamette hops, boil for 60 minutes. Add 1 pack of UK Fungal hops, terminate boil. So that tells me we're doing a flame mount. So we're going to pretty much toss that last thing of hops, or turn off the gas, toss in that last pack of hops.
Whirl it.
Let it all, whirl it around and let it all settle for a little bit, and then we'll chill.
Hops, like malts, are perishable items and they can go bad even if they're in the Ziploc or sealed, vacuum sealed containers. So you want to make sure that if you're using those ingredients that you have either some sort of freshness or that they haven't gone bad.
So the easiest way, give it a sniff. That smells pretty all right. It's about what I would expect for a Fuggle. What you don't want to smell is cheesiness or something that smells like old cardboard, kind of like a musty basement. Either of those can imply that your hops have gone bad. So you don't want to smell that. But I'm gonna go add this now.
And you can check to see what your specific brand of hop tastes like. So it's actually better if you get to know which hops you are using and then double check those hops, those aromas, those flavors against what you're smelling when you take a look at that pack.
And, oh, there we go. There are more instructions on the back. Step 6, cool the wort and transfer. So you're gonna cool your wort down. We have tools for that. We'll show you when we get there.
We'll show those.
To approximately 70 degrees. It has
Fahrenheit.
instructions saying put the brew pot in a sink full of ice. You can do that, it works. We have tools for that, like we said. That'll do that a lot faster. Avoid transmitting or transferring the trub from the bottom of the brew pot to the fermenter.
Well,
a little trub doesn't hurt anybody.
so in the cooling aspect of it, while we have the tools for it, you will need to use a tub full of ice or some sort of chilling aspect to your boil pot. It'll be very important then for you to do that quickly, right? As fast as you can transfer from 212 degrees Fahrenheit down to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, the better your beer is going to be because you're going to get that cold crash. You're going to pull out some additional proteins and you're going to pull out some of that cold break. You're going to be able to protect your beer from any kind of infections because the faster you do that, the less time and less openness to the world. Yeah, it's not going to be exposed as much. Down at 70, you're going to have less bacteria is not exactly happy there. Really, your worrisome timeline is about that 96.
Between 90 to 70 degrees.
Body temperature is going to be a big issue for bacteria.
And up until you get it into your fermenter and closed.
Yeah,
Once
right.
it's in the fermenter, your yeast is pitched and it's closed, you're pretty safe.
So it's very important that you do the cold crash aspect of it studiously, that you're paying attention to that, and you do that down as fast as you can.
Very important. After getting it transferred and cooled, we're going to go to step 7, add water, which is add water until you're back to 5 gallons of water in your fermenter. So this is a 5-gallon batch, though you only boil 2.5 gallons of water at the beginning.
It's going to look like a little line in the bottom of our pot.
We have very big pots.
Yeah, don't take our video appropriately for how much it's going to take up in your room. But in our case, we have a 16 gallon pot that we're going to be doing our boil in. So 2.5 gallons is going to be like
just splash
in the bottom of the pot. But it should be, so just take that with a grain of salt.
The nice thing about this is if you don't have a 16-gallon pot and all you have is, say, a 3-gallon stock pot, something along those lines, you can do this on your stovetop pretty easily. It doesn't take a ton of special stuff. So this is a good way to get started to see if you want to deal with all the cleaning and the hassle that is brewing.
And it's the way we started. The first couple of batches that we ran these exact kits. We walked through these processes, we read these instructions, and we practiced our craft until we decided we wanted to upgrade and do it more and more and better at what we were doing. And it takes a lot of knowledge base. As you decide you want to do this, and this is just an introduction to it, we're going to do this series hopefully in the idea that you, as a viewer, are interested in getting into it, and this is something a little simpler for you to do, right? Versus the marathon brew days that we usually put through to get our process, to get our beer out the other side.
And you'll see one of those in another video.
Right, yeah, so hang on to the other series, the B3 Brews. We're going to be doing experimentals based on the themes, and hopefully you get to see those too.
All right, so we're on to step 8, pitch the yeast. So you're going to sprinkle the contents of the yeast sachet. Earlier in this video, you will have seen me turning a yeast sachet into a yeast starter.
So that's the little packet of yeast, dry yeast, that's in hibernation effectively. And when you said yeast, and I looked in the box, I had a small heart attack because there was no yeast in the box. And for just a second, I went, Oh shit.
We got no yeast. Damn you, Inspector Number 6. Oh, I already pulled the yeast out of the box to make the yeast starter. Somewhere in this video you'll see that.
We'll also make notes when we pitch that one as well. So we did the yeast starter, but I like live active yeast, and I like to be able to use them while they're in that propagation or past that propagation phase to dump into that 5 gallons because we get a better fermentation out of it. If you don't have a stir plate and you'd like to do this at home, you can pitch dry, which is equally acceptable. The problem is it's going to take longer for those yeast to become active, for them to start to propagate inside of your fermenter, and then to become, well, usable as far as actually fermenting in the fermenter. So while we are going to hammer this out in basically a week, and for you it's going to be all of like, instead, it'll take probably 2 or 3 weeks.
Probably 2
weeks,
week and a half, 2 weeks.
So you want to watch that and watch for when the level of the fermentation drops, and we'll talk more of those aspects down as well. So pitching yeast, dealing with that, kind of important.
Yeah. Back to reading the instructions, it says, sprinkle the contents of the yeast sachet over the top of the entire wort. Do not rehydrate. We do things our way. Don't need your instructions. And stir well with sanitized spoon or paddle. There's that sanitized again.
Clean it some more.
Firmly secure the lid onto your fermenter. Fill your airlock halfway with water. We'll show you an airlock when we get to that step. Into the grommeted lid. We'll show you that too. Move fermenter to a dark, warm, temperature-stable area. We have a handy-dandy freezer with a heating pad and a temperature controller. You don't need to have that. A basement works really well. It worked for most of human history to just put it in the basement. So put it in your basement.
We actually used the basement method
for a very long time.
For a long time. You can use it. We just took it. You want to keep it reasonably clean. Obviously, you don't want like dirt and animals and children cruising around all over the place. You want it to be reasonably stable as far as temperatures. If it's got wild swings in temperatures, it's going to wreak havoc on your yeast, wreak havoc on your beer. Additionally, and especially with this beer, with this kind of yeast, that havoc is going to cause more of those phenols and more of those esters. Yeah. And you're going to hit some of our favorite flavors out of that, some real fake banana flavor. And so when you're doing that, when it's talking about fermentation, you just want to keep that down at a reasonably steady temperature at that 68 to 70 degrees. I mean, you can probably go as low as like 64, 65.
It says 64 to 72, so you can pull that off. It's just going to slow you down.
Yeah. So the colder it is, the slower the process is, the warmer it is, the faster it's going to be. But you also produce more phenols and more esters at the higher temperatures. So you want a balancing act between the two different pieces.
Temperature stable is bolded in the instructions, so they know temperature stable. If you've got a basement shower or bathtub, that's the perfect place because occasionally your fermenter will pop and spray goop, and it's nice if it's in the shower because you just rinse it down and you're done. Fermentation, monitor and record. Keep an eye on it. Track your measurements. You can do a sanitized hydrometer to measure the gravity throughout the process if you want to. It's not super important. All right. Fermentation, monitor and record. The wort will begin to ferment within 24 to 48 hours, and you may notice CO2 releasing, bubbling out of the airlock. If no bubbling is evident, on day 2 of fermentation, take a gravity reading with a sanitized hydrometer. If gravity has dropped below your OG reading, then fermentation is taking place. Take a gravity reading again in 4 to 6 days, and confirm fermentation has completed by comparing gravity reading to the final gravity range listed at the top of the instructions. If gravity is not in the final gravity range, continue fermentation until it reaches final gravity range. Record your final gravity range in the ABV calculator. To the right, which is down here.
Or find a cell phone app.
Yeah, or if you use a cell phone app, it's pretty easy. Bottling day. So you're going to read all instructions again. Sanitize everything again.
Clean your stuff.
Prepare priming sugar.
Priming sugar.
That is going to be how you're going to get the bubbliness in your beer.
Well, when you bottle.
Yes. So in a small saucepan, dissolve 5 ounces of priming sugar into 2 cups of boiling water for 5 minutes. Pour this mixture into a clean bottling bucket. We can show you one of those. I think we still have one running around. Carefully siphon beer from the fermenter into the bucket. Avoid transferring sediment. That's actually important. You don't want that floating around.
Don't get the sediment in your bottle and bucket. Otherwise you get sediment in your bottles. And nobody likes to see
Nobody likes the bottom goodies. Stir gently for about a minute. So in red letters, 1 ounce of priming sugar is equal to approximately 2.5 tablespoons.
regular sugar. Probably if you like lost your priming sugar or you accidentally used your priming sugar in your boil and you're like, oh no, I didn't realize that that sugar was important to this whole process because you didn't read your instructions. Then you can rescue it with some home sugar or some table sugar. And
it's not as good as the proper sugar, but it's better than no bubbles.
And I bring back the bell. Shame, shame, shame. You do not read the instructions.
Bottle. Using your cycling setup and bottling wand, fill the bottles within approximately 1 inch of the top of the bottle. That is important. Too much open space, you don't get the right bubbliness. Too little open space, and you're gonna get beer everywhere when you open it because it's gonna fizz and it's gonna be everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
So, and boom, we have caps.
Bottle caps.
Apply bottle capper to sanitized
Clean.
caps. Yeah. Bottle condition. Move the bottles to a warm temperature stable, bold again, area 64-72 degrees. This is a secondary fermentation that you're doing to turn that priming sugar into CO2 to give you your bubbles in your beer. So very important to keep the temperature stable again, or you will start to degrade and age the beer, and you don't want to do that in this case. Over the next 2 weeks, the bottles will naturally carbonate. Carbonation times may vary depending on the temperature and beer style. Be patient. Chill and enjoy your tasty brew. And thank you for choosing Brewers Best products. That is the full instructions, front and back.
Let's get brewing.
Cody, what's going on, man?
Mistakes! Mistakes everywhere! This is no longer a Dunkelweizen. This is I have a lot of fuck-up-Weizen. So, I froze it in primary, I froze it again in secondary.
Where's the temperature probe?
Temperature probe is conveniently not in the fermentation chamber. So the outside of my garage is a nice 67.9 degrees. The inside of my fermentation chamber is a balmy 0.
It's reading like 1.032.
Do you think it also concentrates the non-water?
Yeah, the non-fermentable. So that'll be really sticky, sweet, and high alcohol. So, wow, 1.32. So the measurements are way off. There's no way to do this. You'd have to do like a refractometer or an actual like chemical analysis
to get it right.
Otherwise you just up a creek.
Yeah, because it concentrated in any remaining any residual sugars got concentrated. Any residual proteins probably got concentrated.
So if it tastes bad, we're gonna let the water go back into it, and we'll let that hang. It's potent in the sense of flavor. I wouldn't say it's bad. I mean, you can taste the dunkel flavor on that. The Dunkelweizen, not Dunkelweizen, but dunkel. So you can really taste the dunkel.
Yeah, there's a hint of
caramels, toffees.
Caramel, toffee, a little bit of banana.
And I don't smell excessive
There's
alcohol.
definitely some esters from the yeast on there.
A little bit of banana.
A little banana, a little bit of weedy. And then you got a little bit of caramel, not a lot. The dark notes aren't coming through very clearly. You can use a little more dark notes.
Well, and it's not as sticky as I was worried about.
I was expecting sticky and hot alcohol and green.
Like it finishes
I was expecting
on,
this to be rough, and it's not. It's not that bad.
No, that finishes on like an earthy hop kind of note. So it's not like, whoa, it's kind of interesting. And then it
Carbonated in a glass. Good. So here we've got our homemade secondary racking wand. It's made from an auto siphon that you would normally find in your homebrew section. All we did was took off the actual outer sheath, so we just have the inner wand and added the little rubber grommet that sits on top of the secondary. So when you put it in there, you can set your top or the length, the depth of what you're looking for. You blow into the top, give it some pressure, pinch it off, and then it does the rest of the work for you.
Yeah, it's Dunkelweizen Bach. Yeah.
We've carbonated, cold, chilled, more, I guess. Yeah, we needed extra chilling. We've chilled and carbonated somewhat the Eis Dunkel, as we've come to call it, box beer from Brewers Best, and now it's time to taste it.
Cheers. You can also see it nicely up against that white background. It's so dark.
It is actually, yeah. So color-wise, very dark. I would say almost more dark than I was expecting, probably because of how much water we've extracted out of it.
Getting frozen twice. Probably also why it's a little milky looking. Once again, frozen twice. Smells pretty good considering the mistakes that were made. It smells like a decent Dunkelweizen.
There's a little bit of a green hint to it. I think the yeast didn't quite finish what they were looking for. To me, anyways.
You mean the yeast didn't like being frozen?
No, the yeast did not like being frozen at all.
Yeast liked it cold. Nice banana sort of aftertaste.
There are some good clove, or not clove,
banana.
but yeah, the esters, the phenols and esters. There we go.
The phenols and esters are there. You can taste the banana-iness. Not in the first sip. The green kind of takes over that first sip. But once you swallow, your mouth tastes like cloves and bananas, which is kind of nice. In a nice way, cloves and bananas. Not overly banana. It's about what you expect for a Dunkelweizen. Mm-hmm. Same with the amount of clove. So that part came out well.
Yeah, I think it was really good. I think it's missing a little bit maybe of that like dark fruit or the caramels because the green is kind of blasting out that kind of center flavor.
Yeah, the malty.
You're missing some of the nice caramels or toffees that you normally would get in there. So there's this like low note that I think is reasonable, that is like kind of a darker roast potential. Then there's this big green spot right in the center, and then it ends with a nice high phenol, esters, cloves, bananas. But it's really missing the gut.
So yeah, if we could get rid of that green flavor, which I don't think we're going to be able to do, no amount of conditioning is going to fix that it got frozen in primary. If we could have gotten rid of this, I think we would have had a very good beer here. Overall, like projecting that we didn't make this mistake, it probably would taste very good. The base flavors taste like they're there. The finish is nice. The yeast flavors are good, other than the green flavor. So I would guess that if we hadn't made mistakes, this would be a very good box beer. This would be a good one to try if you wanted to make a Dunkelweizen. Be a good one to go with.
Just check your temperature probe.
Right. Yeah.
Just don't freeze it twice. If you're gonna freeze it after secondary.
I would say that it's probably a good call to do this one in the fall or springtime if you didn't have like a temperature control chamber because of the yeast, right? Those phenols and esters would probably take off on you in the summer. And in the winter, well, you're going to have this problem. So if you're going to brew this in the winter, stay away from it. Go somewhere else. Something a little stronger, punchier. But I thought, I think this is a decent beer minus those errors and mistakes. Obviously, even the professionals or even mildly semi-pro, we'll call it semi-pro. We're semi-pro. The semi-pro still make mistakes. We still screw things up. This is the first round on that. And so what you've learned from this is we fuck shit up.
The fuck up fairy is an equal opportunity employer. They will show up and will fuck your shit up no matter what you do.
This is the Eyes Dunkel signing off. Thanks for visiting us here at Bell Brothers Brewing. Engineers talking about beers.
Cheers.